I have never played the Donkey Kong Country trilogy. I know, that sounds illegal from a YouTuber whose profile picture is Donkey Kong and goes bananas for a banana yellow cartridge that is Donkey Kong 64.
How can this be? Why have I forsaken you?
I know this sounds pretty crazy, and it feels morally wrong to have never played these iconic DK games, but I do think my reasoning is simple and makes sense. The N64 was my first console. I always knew DK from, well, this game, Diddy Kong Racing, DK's appearances in the Mario games. It's not that I didn't know DK, it's just that I didn't know this DK. And you gotta remember, back in the 90s, if a game wasn't within your circle of friends or family, well, there's a good chance it would never appear on your radar. Until the internet. I never owned a SNES, and I guess I never knew anyone who owned one themselves. So I just kinda missed out. And of course, 3D World games became the future. I became hooked with DK64, and when I would eventually take a peek at Country Returns many years later, I thought to myself, cool, that's not 3D though. And hold on, before you hit that dislike button, I have finally played the very first Country game. So with my unusual order of playing DK games and a background with DK64, I think my perspective of the Country games is a little unique. This video isn't just why I like this 30-year-old game, but also an appreciation towards the future DK games to come. So with this embarrassing confession out of the way, let's talk about the comparisons to DK64, the characters, the world designs and atmosphere, and the boss fights. So funny enough, when talking about DK64, I tend to tell people to do the exact opposite. Don't compare it to the Country games. Because, well, it's not a Country game. It's very much its own game, doing its own thing in an entirely different space. And drawing one-to-one comparisons to the Country games is just going to be a letdown. But with me playing these games in opposite order and looking back from DK64 to the Country games, oh man, now I understand where those hate comments came from. This isn't a video to dunk on DK64. You all probably have taken the hint that I kinda love it. But I do love how I caught on to some references and other connections from the Country games while playing the first one. There's some very obvious aspects like the minecart challenges. That's very much a Donkey Kong signature. It just works so well with the Kongs. Even if these challenges are straight up brutal, we love to see minecarts. The few that we see in the first Country game, it's clear that you need to get good, as well as the blast barrels. My goodness, I don't know why I'm so bad at aiming these things. 3D space, 2D space, doesn't matter, I'm not good at them. But I can't be all that mad. I unintentionally, accidentally found a skip barrel in one of the most brutal levels.
Oh, did I? I don't...
Another fun and easy comparison to DK64 being the small armadillos. Up until now, I thought the DK64 boss fights against Armadillo was just a random character design. So now I'm seeing, well, it wasn't all that random to begin with. Players with a Country background must have been pleasantly surprised to see him as a final world boss fight. I think that's pretty neat. Bonus rooms are such a drastic change in comparison to these two games. A bonus stage in DK64 tends to focus on skill, beating the clock, running out the clock. The challenge could be anything, and you really wouldn't know what you were up against until you hopped inside. So it's kinda nice to have a calmer alternative to bonus rooms. It's meant to be quick and fun, and not a punishment. Finding the bonus room is more challenging than the actual challenge itself. And besides, the rooms are just opportunities to collect more lives. Super. I couldn't believe how tucked away some of these bonus rooms were. I feel like I got better at finding them as time went on, but I couldn't believe that some of the barrels were conveniently tucked away off screen. Or even worse, some of these far away rooms only accessible with espresso and a leap of faith. What? It's all coming back to me now. The era of get good. Also, I guess this is the time of playground secrets, as well as being lucky enough to have a walkthrough. I gotta respect it. It took me back to those earlier days of gaming. It's kind of interesting how there's no cutscene or really any explanation in this game. It just throws you in right from the start. Hey, you figure it out. You see this monkey? That's Donkey Kong. That's you. Your bananas were stolen. Get to work. Tutorial? What tutorial? You're a monk! Go get banana! Did they do cutscenes back then? I guess not. We were kind of coming off of the arcade era still. But the tone I'm getting from Country 1 is very mixed between a fast-paced, quick turnaround game that could be completed in 2 hours if you know it front to back, and a brutal, unforgiving adventure that requires your A game at all times. To have played Tropical Freeze and Country Returns before this, and being well adjusted to the heart system, I just can't believe that each Kong gets one hit and one hit only. You better get good and get good fast. I imagine with more practice and hours under my belt, I'll get all the more familiar with the layout and easily take out those Kremling. But speaking of, let's talk about these characters. So this next part is genuinely fascinating to me. Even though what I'm about to say is likely old news to you all watching, I still think it's worth mentioning how this game introduces a ton of new characters. And I'm not even exaggerating a little when I say pretty much every character but Donkey Kong himself were brand new characters in this game. I actually had no idea. Like, if you were to ask me, Super Joe Bros, what game first introduces King K. Rool? I would just look at you with a blank face going, I don't know, Donkey Kong? It's pretty crazy to see that this single game introduced so many iconic characters. We got the support Kongs first arriving here, such as Cranky, Funky, Candy, and Diddy Kong himself. I didn't even know that. I just assumed our boy Diddy was always here with DK. But come to think of it, yeah, when did he first get introduced? The same goes to the support Kongs. I've always known them as the same support system for DK64. It never once crossed my mind about their very first appearance. I don't super understand the limitations in needing Funky Kong to freely travel around any world or level, but I suppose that's just the limitations of the SNES. Let me know if there's a genuine reason I'm not aware of. But I won't complain about the introduction to one of the funkiest Kongs around. And the same goes to Candy Kong. Do we really need a character to save the game instead of a save icon? Honestly, who cares? Rare gave us more lore with the Kong family, and the same can be said about Cranky Kong himself. While this is his introduction to the series, we learn that this is just the older version of a previous Donkey Kong, and that alone is a really fun feature. This goes even further with the inclusion of animal buddies. Rambi, Engard, Squawks, Espresso, and Winky all made their first appearance in this game. Playing as each buddy felt very smooth, and I love how they don't disrupt the game, but enhance it. It's almost like gaining a temporary ability that allows you to jump higher, or glide for a few seconds, or attack underwater. Even the little bonus rooms were a fun addition with the animal buddies. Just collect the thing for more lives. Their inclusion is seriously so smooth in this game and is a feature I found myself looking forward to. Any Kong can access them at any time. Like, this is one of those things that never bothered me in DK64, but now that I'm playing the original Country games, I'm seeing, oh, okay, now I understand some of those critiques. I'm pleasantly surprised by the variety of enemies found in this game. It's so much more than I anticipated and goes beyond, alright, Critter, Zinger, Naughty. Even with the basic baddies such as Zingers, I was surprised to find 4 different variants on how each one moves differently. It's a clever way to mix things up without redesigning an entirely new enemy. DK64 could never. Beyond your basic set of enemies expected out of a DK game, it's the unexpected enemies that deserve a little shout out. Those Neckies are the bane of my existence, and those mini Neckies deserve to get shot with a coconut gun because I took a hit every single time they were around. Oh, little pests. Rocks are probably my favorite enemies of the game. They're so interesting and wacky to me. Such speedy boys, but where are they going at such a rush? Why does a barrel labeled stop make them stop running around? I don't know, but it's a fun gimmick, and I like it. Unlike these manky Kongs, my goodness! What's with the friendly fire? What did DK and Diddy do to you? Lanky, buddy! I know there's been some cruel jokes at your expense, but what's going on with the orangutans? One more detail about the characters I want to appreciate are Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong themselves. I think it's cool that in general, they play the same. The game can be completed no matter who you play as, but it's pretty neat how they just play a little differently. Chat was kind enough to point out that bonus room caves can be more conveniently found if I play as Diddy, He holds barrels in a different way that allows the player to simply walk up and auto-open the caves, and that's a huge help. But there's some enemies that are simply too strong for Diddy and can't be defeated by a single jump attack. Rolling into enemies will do it, but it's cool to see that DK is actually stronger in this series. There's different reasons to play as each Kong. Little reasons, but reasons to consider who to play as. I found myself playing as Diddy a lot more though. Besides him being one cool Kong, I also felt like his hitbox was smaller in comparison. Maybe I'm making that up, but I noticed some of my deaths came down to the pixel, and I kinda had better luck with Diddy. Next, we need to talk about the atmosphere and the design of these worlds. And I want to go a little further than just, oh, I like the factory theme world in this game, which is true. I thought Krem Croc Industries was pretty sweet. Meanwhile, Gorilla Glacier was pretty brutal, and it's the world that separates the boys from the men. No, but this isn't said enough. The game looks good. When I think back to the SNES era, a game like Super Mario World comes to mind first. And that game looks dated. I'm not saying it's bad, but it looks like it was made in 1990. But Donkey Kong Country? A 1994 game, and it looks good. I mean, genuinely, whoa, these two games came from the same console? I haven't put a ton of thought into this, mainly because this is the era of gaming just before I first picked it up way back then. But I'm really seeing the differences. Rare really likes to jam-pack their games and push the limitations. Just look at the overworld hubs of Donkey Kong Country versus Super Mario World. There's so much detail. There's so much more texture to it. It really feels like we're exploring on an adventure, even through the overworld hub. Then you dive into a level and whoa! The world comes even more alive. Look at the way the background moves. These characters look so smooth. I swear, this isn't a dunk on Mario. I'm only just now seeing these vast differences in a SNES game that came 4 years later. The art style holds up. Just another victory for the Kongs. As I was playing the game, I caught on to a handful of other little details in the atmosphere that takes it a step further. Typically, you can see the background moving as the player moves forward, which gives off a great sense of traversing a cave or forest. But it was that extra detail of rocks and slabs in the foreground that I especially appreciated. Especially given the era, that isn't something I would have expected of this game. And it's an awesome way to expand the world and show more depth. A similar detail can be seen in any of the water levels. The underwater motion of the waves can be reflected off of the coral and rocks, as well as the Kongs and other characters. As if the chilling music and bubbles weren't enough to sell me that I'm swimming underwater. But this subtle ripple motion is the icing on the cake. I love seeing other tiny details such as the weather changing with rain, or daytime shifting into night, and a lovely sunset growing as the player advances closer to the end of a level. All subtle little changes, but changes that set an amazing tone. Finally, we gotta talk about some of these crazy snow levels. Naturally, the slippery ice texture made it pretty challenging just to make the Kongs walk. No surprise there. But I have to admit, I was shockingly surprised by how effective the snowstorm is in this game. And thank goodness it's only used a little bit and not abused throughout all of Gorilla Glacier. It's kind of cool how the snow gets worse as the level itself gets more challenging. Well, cool might not be the best word. I totally lost my mind trying to get out of this ice hell. But I still appreciate the detail and how effective the snow is. It's genuinely challenging to see, as if I'm actually stuck in a snowstorm. And I applaud Rare for accomplishing this detail. And finally, we need to talk about the boss fights in this game. Mostly about the King K. Rool finale, but the boss fights waiting at the end of each world are worth mentioning too. I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to get those golden bananas back. So it's kind of cool that each boss fight is essentially the same concept. Jump on them, avoid their attacks, and jump on them again. Except for Dum Drum. It took me a second to understand this fight. I was trying to figure out how am I supposed to jump on this thing, but no, eventually I figured it out. Just avoid its attacks and take out the little guys. Master Neki and Master Neki Sr. are kind of funny to me because like, they're just giant heads. Even larger than King K. Rool himself, now that I think about it. And yet, I found them to be the easiest to take down. I'm not at all bothered by destroying these beavers. I remember Queen Bee genuinely being a challenging boss amongst the regular boss fights. With crazy patterns to memorize and perfectly timed barrels, this zinger made me sweat a bit. But that's nothing in comparison to the big bad Crumbling himself. One little detail that I seriously appreciate is how K. Rool's ship slowly approaches in the background as the player progresses the game. It's like this constant threat hanging over your head, reminding you that the worst is yet to come. Does that ring a bell? All of those previous boss fights were kind of training the player for this final fight. Memorizing enemy patterns, timing out when to dodge and when to attack are crucial. And it's very much a practice makes perfect type of fight. I didn't beat him on the first try, but I caught on to his movements and locked in. Boom! Roll credits. I don't know what it is about Rare games, but they really make the end credits feel really special, and
Wait, he got up. He's not done yet.
I will admit it, I fell for it so hard. The controller was set down, and I had leaned back in my chair, completely vulnerable.
Wait. What happened? What just happened? Wait, what? I put the controller down. I should have known. I should have learned.
This fake out is so dang clever of Rare. For one, it feels very on brand to K. Rool. This trickster will do whatever it takes to win. But seeing this happen in a boss fight is very memorable. I can only imagine the kids' reaction to this way back in the 90s. Heck, I can only imagine what my reaction would have been had I played this as a kid. But this moment in the game reminds me of the final fight in Donkey Kong 64. We got another fake out here, although it's baked into the end cutscene. But the same concept is in play here. You really never know when K. Rool is officially down. Even when the credits roll, he could come back with a second wind. But like I was saying, there's something special about the end credits with a Rare game. I don't know if it's the music, the appreciation of each character and enemy used in the game, or even this overall satisfying we did it feeling. I'm not sure what the secret sauce is, but I feel it in this game, I feel it in DK64, and I feel it in the Banjo games. Rare knows how to make us feel good about completing a game. And that's just one of the many ways Donkey Kong Country is a special game. It keeps you on your toes. You never know what's around the corner, so you gotta stay sharp. I can't wait to see what waits for me in Donkey Kong Country 2. I've literally only heard amazing things about this game. Based on the first game and my experience with Return to Tropical Freeze, I think I have a little taste of what's to come. And I hope to see you there for my journey. Stay tuned as I explore each country game and share my very late thoughts.